So who would you say were your greatest musical influences when you first got into rap and making music?
Man, I have such a diverse uh, band. There's such diverse bands that I totally listen to in foster care, especially like Fleetwood Mac,
Yes.
Stevie Nicks. You know
Yeah.
that song "Landslide." That's probably my favorite song ever.
That is really good to hear.
And then LL Cool J, AC/DC was my favorite band. AC/DC, I had all the AC/DC shirts, and then Beastie Boys.
Nice.
Yeah.
What do you think the adolescent version of yourself would think or say watching your speech and all the other work that you do?
The adolescent Derek, wow. I wonder if I would be in a position, like in a state of mind to like listen to me. But you know what, to be honest with you, I would probably have listened because I speak with such passion and with such truth and honesty that it might have resonated with his soul, like his spirit, absolutely.
Do you think maybe hearing the wisdom that you share would have maybe helped you overcome some of the adversities faced by youth and care, or do you think you kind of needed those experiences and those struggles to kind of get where you are now?
Well, the experiences made me strong. There's no regrets. But I think what's a big key is to know that there were other foster kids out there. I didn't really know that there were other foster kids or other organizations that were full of foster kids. Like, I wasn't alone. If I had known that I wasn't alone, like there's other kids like you, like when I went to school, I was basically the only foster kid. I had special lunch tickets that everybody knew, different color. I wasn't the normal kid. I had special county government tickets, right, for my lunches and stuff. So I was known as the foster kid, right? So, but if I had known that there were others, we could have joined and had our own posse, our own crew.
So you talk a lot about labels and how being labeled affected you throughout life. Do you think there was ever a time when being labeled maybe worked to your advantage?
Yeah, labels, you know, I'm not a big fan of labels, obviously, because they neutralize you, but I guess a label, and I didn't find out most of my labels until I was 13 years old, but I think when I read that report that said I was mentally handicapped and overtly psychotic and all these things, I think it stung me where I'm like, I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to be that. So it's kind of reverse psychology. I see the label. I'm not that label. I'm not going to be that. So probably.
Being labeled an at-risk youth, sometimes you can be granted leniency in certain aspects of life. Would you say that was true for you? And did you ever find that to be a negative or a positive?
I would say that it was advantageous on my end, being a foster kid sometimes when I did vandalism. Like I vandalized this whole street court, or this court, and I poured yellow paint over someone's hot rod, beautiful hot rod, and I painted, it was awful. And I egged a nice, beautiful, brand new Corvette where you egg it so hard that it leaves dents in it and broke windows and stuff. And they didn't call the police on me. And they knew I was a foster kid and at risk and stuff. But my foster parents worked out that I had to work for every family on that street for 2 weeks each during that summer. So that was worse than going to juvie. I had to literally work all summer, working 2 weeks at each home that I vandalized, and digging ditches and weeding and being their slave.
So growing up in the system, you build a lot of resilience. Do you ever feel like that was a transferable life skill in your current day-to-day life or being a father?
Yeah, absolutely. It made me, I feel invincible. Like, wow, what else is going to happen? I've gone through hell and back, and I'm able to make it. And, you know, I've had difficulties as an adult, but I look at like what I've gone through. I'm like, see, I can solve anything. That's how I look. I can solve anything. I've been through anything. Nothing's going to tear me apart. So absolutely.
So you kind of answered this one during your speech, but I was going to ask you, during your time in care and your grieving processes, did you access counseling?
Yes, I went through psychiatric counseling twice a week. Psychiatrist till from age 6 to almost 13. So, I mean, he was nice.
Did you feel like it benefited you at the time?
No, it didn't. If it benefited me, I would have been out of a lot of trouble as a teenager. But I was taken out of class, and that was always weird. Like I was taken out of school, then I'd go on a drive, go to the psychiatrist's office, and then go back to class, and people would ask me, where you been? And I have to, counseling or whatever. But I didn't find the counselor that really connected with me. And I'm sure that counseling helps. You just have to find the right one that connects to you.
Would you say your feelings toward counseling has evolved over the years?
Absolutely. I believe in counseling. Back then when I was in trouble, I didn't believe in counseling. I hated counseling, right? But counseling saved my marriage. Counseling's been good for my own PTSD issues, and I've been able to overcome so much PTSD with a great session called EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing, where it goes back into the trauma of your brain, and you're able to heal with the help of a counselor. And I did a few sessions at EMDR with a counselor, and absolutely, I'm a big fan of counseling now. You got to find the right counselor.
Sometimes youth in care find themselves unable to see things from their foster parents' perspective, and as a result end up unhappy with their placement. Did you ever have experiences with foster parents that you felt were in it for the wrong reasons?
I don't remember, but I did have this when I was back at the shelter, and there was another foster home that was willing to take me in. I do remember they were all white hair, like they were old, right? And they were the Browns. And they took me in and they thought, we'll take this cute kid with the big personality, and it only lasted a little bit, and they dropped me back up the shelter. So, I think I was causing a lot of turmoil. But I wasn't at that point because my foster parents kept me a long term, and they didn't get paid enough. My foster parents didn't get paid enough because I did more damage to their house than they got paid each month for being a foster parent. So.
Do you have any advice for youth who are unhappy with the services they have received or are receiving?
Yes. Tell somebody. Don't keep it inside. Be the squeaky wheel, right? The squeaky wheel gets the oil. Keep talking, keep saying something. That's how things get changed. That's how laws get changed. That's how programs get changed. Definitely talk. Absolutely.
And do you have any words of encouragement for youth who haven't found a permanent placement yet?
Well, your life gets better when you get better. If you are having some issues and you're taking it out on the wrong person, I call it misplaced anger, and you're angry at your foster parents, and that's why you keep getting moved to another foster home because you don't like their rules, or you're breaking their rules, or you're just upset and you just want to get out of there. As long as it's a secure environment and they give you a sense of belonging and acknowledge you and accept you, then I would say stay there. But a lot of times we self-sabotage ourselves and we want to go to another home because I'm out of here, they pissed me off, they ticked me off, I'm out of here. And sometimes you just got to realize that, is the parents, the foster parents the problem, or are you the problem? And that's why you're shutting people down or you're pushing people away and you just want to run. And I'm here to tell you, stop running. And if you stop running, you might find a foster parent that's willing to keep you.
So ironically, my next question is, were there ever any times you self-sabotaged, and why do you think that was?
Yeah, I self-sabotaged, man. I tried to tick people off. I was angry. It was misplaced anger, and I took it out on the social worker, the teachers, the foster parents. I mean, everybody. Been in a lot of fights, all that, and it all comes down to self-worth, believing in yourself, your self-value, and what kind of started to give me that creative self-value was rap and was music and being able to creatively express myself, having that outlet. So I'm big on having an outlet, creative outlet, and having self-value. And once you find your self-value, then you're like, yeah, no one can destroy me. No one can destroy me. I keep on going, but you got to remember that you have to realize that you're going to have to stretch your mind, you're going to have to be educated, and you're going to have to follow the rules.
So any advice you might have for youth struggling with victim mentalities?
Yeah, divorce your story. Be a victor, right? It's all about victory. It's not about victim. It's not about pity. It's about power. And so that's what I learned in my life, being 13 years in foster care, right? My poor story was, poor me, my mom's not visiting me, no one came to visit me, everyone abandoned me, nobody likes me, I'm a reject, I'm a misfit, blah, 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 blah. And you realize that it's all in your head. So you change your thinking, you'll change your life. You're always one thought away from having a happier moment. One thought away. Do you control your thoughts or do your thoughts control you? That's deep, right?
That's so, yeah. Any advice for foster parents struggling with hard-to-reach youth?
Yeah. If you're dealing with hard-to-reach youth, challenging youth, you might have a problem taking things personal. These kids, these children, these youth are coming into your home full of grief, full of trauma, and they've been molested, they've been abused, they've gone through all kinds of abuse, and they're not going to come into your home all happy. They're not going to come into your home just like, hi, I'm so glad to be here, right? They're not going to be like that. They're angry. They're feeling abandoned. They're feeling rejected. So you got to find a way to connect, and you got to pick your battles. Every conflict is not a battle. Please realize that it's about connection sometimes more than correction, and it's about alliance more than compliance at times. These kids are grieving, and they need somebody to make them feel like they belong, to accept them, to build that relationship of trust. So connection, connection, connection. If you can't connect, then find another way. There's always a way to connect. There's always a way to connect, or hook them up with someone that can connect with them.
And any advice for people becoming foster parents?
Yeah. Come to events that I put on. Because I'll give you the real deal. You know, it's not going to be a cakewalk. It's not going to be just like, wow, this is great being a foster parent. It's going to make you sad. It's going to leave you in despair sometimes, feeling hopeless. It's going to make you ticked off that the system isn't working out or whatever. But get as educated as you can and go to my website, iwillnevergiveup.com, rappinddad.com. I'm always putting information out there to help foster parents find another way to connect, as well as, not take things personal. That's the problem that we find a lot of times is foster parents, social workers, caseworkers, they take things personal. And we got to realize that we're the adults, we're the experts, and these are children. And we got to look at them through compassion, acceptance, and really care for them. They didn't ask to be put in foster care. They didn't ask. So we got to come from that perspective, like, wow, what can I do to help this kid? How can I plant great seeds of love, integrity, value, honesty, creativity, faith in these kids? And that's the way we should be thinking when we look at these kids. How can I help these kids become all that they're meant to be?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
See you, Mike. Bye.
So, thanks for going to speak to us today.
Oh, hold on. Oh.
It's still recording, who cares?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
So I'm just going to get into it.
Okay, so is she on camera or just me?
No, I'm not going to be on camera.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
very uncomfortable on camera. I've been on camera like 3 times today.
I've had my own feel. Okay. Are you recording? Oh my, hi! Do you know what my mommy is? No. My kids always say, Daddy, bring the voices in the car, right? Hey! When I go, oh, we're going to have a good time
This
today,
is going on the
son.
blueprints.
Oh, Daddy!
Well, what are you doing here, son? You know, like...
Mixed story time.
Yeah, no, yeah. My kids are like, Dad, bring the voices, bring your friends with you.
You gotta do the voices.
I know. Okay.